and welcome to a brand new episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! Which is based on a blog of the same name, because we're not upside down here, okay? What, you were expecting more to this joke, perchance? My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening and or checking out our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground or something you like. For Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU, ! Hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays, and as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panelists and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the blog or the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and via Google Play to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows around the water cooler, including, but not limited to, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., New Girl, The Vampire Diaries, The Originals, Orange is the New Black, Supernatural, Gotham, Once Upon a Time, The Good Place, Grace and Frankie, Fuller House, Game of Thrones, Broadchurch, and the DC Television Universe or Arrowverse on the CW. Plus, new episodes are in the works, including revisits for Doctor Who, American Horror Story, How to Get Away with Murder, A Series of Unfortunate Events. The X-Files on the Marvel's Defenders panel will talk Season 2 of Jessica Jones. We'll be launching new panels covering Sense8, iZombie, The Crown, Schitt's Creek, and Will and Grace. And because we look back at shows now past, we'll be looking back at one of our most popularly requested panels of all time, which would be Friends, as well as a one-and-gone series called Battle Creek. By the way, did you know that CPU also from time to time goes live? We've been live from the Bunker, comedy outlet Mondays at Dog Story Theater in Grand Rapids Comic-Con, and we're planning more live appearances and other cool stuff. So make sure you like or follow us at our Facebook page, our Twitter at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, or subscribe to the blog, our YouTube channel, our iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Play. In the meantime, if you don't hear a show in this podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews, and we're always seeking new panelists, so if you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any of those outlets I've mentioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, or review. We like feedback! And we also accept 3 Musketeers. Don't knock the nougat. Today, we're around the water cooler and streaming originals as we talk Season 2 of Stranger Things, which was released in its entirety to the Netflix streaming library on October 27, 2017, with a total of 9 episodes, which means, for the record, that the show is legally available to Netflix subscribers exclusively as it is Netflix-produced original content. Please ask Netflix to make it easier to cover all the shows on the podcast by giving us free subscriptions. No, I won't stop making that joke. To remind the listeners, Stranger Things is an American science fiction horror web television series created, written, directed, and co-produced by the Duffer Brothers. In the second season, the main cast features Winona Ryder, David Harbour, Finn Wolfhard, Millie Bobby Brown, Gaten Matarazzo, Caleb McLaughlin, Natalia Dyer, Charlie Heaton, Cara Buono, Noah Schnapp, Joe Keery, Sadie Sink, Decray Montgomery, Sean Astin, and Paul Reiser. Stranger Things is set in the fictional rural town of Hawkins, Indiana during the early 1980s. The nearby Hawkins National Laboratory ostensibly performs scientific research for the United States Department of Energy, but secretly does experiments into the paranormal and supernatural, including those that involve human test subjects. Inadvertently, they've created a portal to an alternate dimension called the Upside Down, and the influence of the Upside Down starts to affect the unknowing residents of Hawkins in calamitous ways. The first season begins in November 1983 when Will Byers, played by Shop, is abducted by a creature from the Upside Down. His mother, Joyce, played by Ryder, and the town's police chief, Jim Hopper, played by Harbour, search for Will. At the same time, a young psychokinetic girl called Eleven, played by Brown, escapes from the laboratory and assists Will's friends, Mike, played by Wolfhard, Dustin, played by Matarazzo, and Lucas, played by McLaughlin, in their own efforts to find Will. The second season, titled Stranger Things 2, is set a year after the first and deals with attempts of the characters to return to normal and the consequences that linger from the first season. Starting in October 1984, the audience learns that though Will has been rescued from the Upside Down, few know of the details of the events. When it is discovered that Will is still being influenced by entities from the Upside Down, his friends and family learn that there is a larger threat to their universe from that alternate dimension. Our Stranger Things panel experienced a changeover as we prepared to talk all Stranger Things in Season 2, with 2 departing panelists facing unexpectedly busy lives behind the podcast, 3 returning frequent and frequently geeky panelists, and 2 frequent panelists joining up who are new to the panel but definitely not to the podcast. All panelists of the Now, your main moderator included, are fans of all the Stranger Things, know how to avoid the upside down, and have once again volunteered to gather around the water cooler to discuss the state of one of the preeminent water cooler series of this decade to see how it's holding up, or upside down as it were. Is it still wowing all with its ample creep factor and fantastical fantasy homages to the 80s and to modern horror films, or is it wilting on the vine a bit, or in its roots, because the creators and all involved have somehow perhaps accidentally set it on fire? I can assure you that this panel is armed with Now memories and spiked bats, ready to take swings at all things Stranger, so as always, it should be noted that all of our panelists have viewed all of Stranger Things to date and will, let's face it, discuss sensitive plot points. For those of you who have not watched Stranger Things at all, listen at your own risk, as we will most definitely be discussing major spoilers. Welcome back, panel, and welcome to the new panelists. How are you?
Awesome. Tubular.
Gotta
put that 80s parlance in there, you know?
That's right, and you knew how to pronounce it, unlike some of these kids.
What does that mean?
The kids in the Stranger Things did not know how to pronounce tubular.
What did they say?
They kept saying tubular, totally tubular, because, you know, they were just trying to get it hip.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
I just rewatched it. So I remember it.
Hence the confusion.
Yes. So what we're going to do, as we do when we get new panelists, is first I'm going to have the returning panelists rate their interest in Stranger Things nowadays based on the CPU's standard character question, which changes with each show we do, and it has changed quite a bit from Stranger Things 1 to Stranger Things 2, and then I'll introduce the new panelists, or they'll introduce themselves, and they'll rate themselves along the character question. Sound good?
Yes.
Awesome. So how would you rate your interest in Stranger Things nowadays? This question's for all, but we'll go for it individually. Do you watch it because you are drawn to the horror aspects? They affect you in all sorts of unexpected ways, and part of you loves that connection, even if unwittingly, and even though you know that this connection will most likely result in nightmares, possession-driven Now memories, or the destruction of this world from another dimension. After all, you realize you're connected to the hive intelligence that adores this show worldwide, and you can't break away like Will Byers. Do you watch it because you love the child characters, especially Eleven and Will, and because you think the story is a great adventure along the lines of Goonies or Stand By Me, etc., like Mike Wheeler? Do you watch it because you secretly love the show, though you won't admit it because you don't talk much? You're happy that others like it too because it means you might have friends for the first time in your life. Also, the show might scare you a little, like you scare you a little. Also, you are really drawn to the backstories and need to know more information because you feel like you will go crazy if you don't learn the information you seek, like 11. Do you watch it because you love the romances? They're a great callback to all of those Brat Pack flicks and cheesy 80s rom-coms, though you're no Shrinking Violet like some of the leading ladies back then. Alternatively, you like the conspiracy theory aspect of it and believe wholeheartedly that the truth is out there and should be made public, like Nancy Wheeler. Do you watch it because you care most about the characters, particularly Joyce and Eleven? You don't know if they will ever have normal lives, given the scary truths they all face, but you want to help them try for such a life, and you believe doing so might even be somewhat redeeming for the Hopper character, like Jim Hopper. Do you watch it because your family watches it, even though you don't think it's a good idea that they do, and you're kind of helplessly along for the ride, hoping to protect your family from the horrors they might find? Also, you're pretty obsessed with the Nancy character, like Jonathan Byers. Do you watch it because your friends watch it, even though you're not sure that your friends are operating with good judgment, like Maxine Max or Mad Max Mayfield? Do you watch it because your significant other or secret crush watches it, and though you want to tell them everything about the show, good, bad, and ugly, before they see it for themselves, you fear what may happen if the truth gets out, like Lucas Sinclair? Do you watch it because you're fascinated by, and even enjoy being somewhat terrified by, the mystical creatures from the Upside Down, like the Demogorgons or Demo Dogs, especially Dart, or the Mind Flayer. In fact, you wouldn't mind befriending one of them, in theory, like Dustin Henderson. Do you watch it because you think the show is a wonderful experiment in nostalgic storytelling, and you love the main cast of characters? They're strong and capable and have gone through so much that you can't even begin to imagine. Unfortunately, though, you can only handle it in small doses anymore, and you might find yourself unexpectedly dead inside from all of the horrible things you're watching, like Bob Newby. Do you watch it because you have nothing else to do when you're babysitting and the kids you watch seem to really like it, and you are a surprisingly good babysitter? Or you watch it because doing so helped you get over a painful, unexpected breakup, like Steve Harrington? Do you watch it, but it's hard for you to handle? The danger in which the children find themselves hits all too close to home. Or you watch it because you're a big fan of flicks like Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, Heathers, etc. Or you watch it because even though you were left somewhat traumatized by the first season, you're ready to give it a second lease on life, like Joyce Byers. Do you watch it because you feel like you have to? Much of it seems pretty far-fetched and messy, though you're not unsympathetic to the characters and to the hordes of people who watch the show. You can even see what they see in it, for better or for worse. Still, you could only hope that Season 2 improved upon Season 1, which you did not like very much, like Dr. Sam Owens. Do you only watch it because you think the 80s backdrop is kind of sexy in that wham bam thank you ma'am sort of way, but with an edge, like Billy Hargrove? Or, and they won't answer this, you don't watch it because you think it's horrifying and you'd rather stay oblivious to the truths lurking beneath your small town, though you think that Billy kid is kind of hot, like Karen Wheeler, who would like to start of the returning panelists.
Hi, I'm Michael again.
Hi, Michael again. Welcome back, Michael again.
Yo, you're going to do that now.
I will. Last time, you were
yes.
a combination of Mike and Jim.
Yes, and I'm still a little bit there, but I think I've migrated more towards the Sean Astin character.
Bob Newby?
Bob Newby, yes, I've migrated towards Bob.
Oh, are you dead inside?
I like the experiment. I like the characters, but I'm worried the show's leaving me dead inside.
Oh, my. Well, foreshadowing, I guess. Welcome back, Michael.
I told you I had thoughts. Anyway.
You apparently.
I'm Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
And based on those descriptions, I'd say I'm easily Will Byers.
Because you were Martin Brenner last time, and Will substituted for him.
I'm drawn to all the horror aspects, on top of the nostalgia, but I'm a huge horror fan, and I love all the homages to my favorite movies that they drop in every episode. Plus, I love the characters.
All right. Welcome back, Kyle.
I am Hilary.
Hi, Hilary.
Who is Hilary's wife. Kyle's wife.
That's true.
And I am the moderator's sister.
Also true.
So that happened. I also am going to springboard off of his and say that I'm Will for everything that he just said this time. And I'm also going to do my usual thing and pick a couple others because there's just too much.
Shocking. Because last time, this is exactly how you said it in the Stranger Things
It
1
was overwhelming.
podcast. At first, you were like Dustin, but then you became more like Mike, and slightly a little bit like 11, and a little more like Jim.
And I don't even know why I said that at this point.
I think you were
should
just
probably
kind
go
of
back.
loopy last time.
I mean, there's so many truths to so many of the descriptions, but I'm going to stick with Will, and I'm going to do Mike because I like all the child characters. They're fun, and I like the things that they represent. And I'm still going to go with Jim because I care about all of the characters, but again, I love all the nostalgia. I just love everything about it. That's why it's so hard to pick just a couple or one character. So
you
we'll
ended
just
up
we'll
Will,
just say
Mike,
Will.
and Jim.
Yeah.
Got it. Welcome back, Hilary, and Hilary's disclaimer. For those of you who listen to our comic book panels, you should be familiar with the Hilary disclaimer. So welcome back to Michael, Kyle, and Hilary. Now we have two brand new panelists. New panelists, what I'd like you to do at this time is to identify yourselves by first name, just your first name, how you came to watch Stranger Things, what made you start watching, how'd you find out about it, what kept you watching, and then answer this character question. Who would like to start that?
My name is Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hey.
Oh, hello. How's everyone doing?
Great.
Why did I tubular? Why did I start watching this show?
Yes.
I don't remember the answer to that question because everybody was watching it.
That
I
seems
mean,
fair.
that's why a lot of people started watching.
That's legit.
Yeah, right.
Why did
Yeah,
I
it was 2
keep...
years ago. I mean, who can...
I know. Who knows what I was doing? I think I just had a baby.
So therefore, you needed to watch
I didn't have
TV.
anything to do. I continued watching it because I am married to Nick.
Who is on a lot of our podcasts.
Right, and
panels.
Who's that guy?
Oh, that guy's worse. He is what you call a completionist, so
It's
you have to
true.
keep watching things even if you don't like them. I happen to like this, but I mean, it doesn't really matter.
You're not
just
as
gonna
intense,
watch
huh?
it.
I'm not in an abusive relationship, but this is just one of those things that you don't compromise on.
Married couples get that, right?
It keeps my marriage happy. So just watch the show.
Hashtag insight.
Okay, what was the next question? That was so many things, and I...
How did you find
What
out
character
about
you
it?
like?
Character.
Yeah, your character.
Who do you, yeah.
Now do the character?
Yeah.
Of the ones you just said?
Of all of them ones.
I
that
said Will.
Okay.
And the first one you read, and then I just stopped.
I
did-
that fits me.
Well, I already read them before, but then I picked Will because I don't.
You like the horror aspects.
I'm like, do you?
You're part of the
Well,
hive
I
intelligence.
don't. I am, but it's like how you're
Obviously,
drawn
it
to
makes her
it.
watch it.
You're drawn
you
to
like-
it because of
yeah.
the horror, but then
like the high intelligence of the show. Yeah.
it
Hive
affects you in
intelligence.
unexpected
Hive, but I'm saying
ways.
high.
Even though you're probably going to have nightmares. Yep, that's legit. And you're connected to the hive intelligence, and you can't break away.
All right.
That's pretty much everything
yeah.
I said.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I only pick one because I'm sorry, but
That's what
No.
you feel. That's
what
how
I
you
feel.
believe your
That's how I
life.
feel it should go.
Yes.
Can't do it.
Welcome, Sarah.
Thanks, it's great to be here around the water cooler.
Yes.
Once
Listeners of CPU might be familiar with Sarah's voice from our American Horror Story panel, our New Girl panel, our X-Files panel,
So look
Doctor
back on
Who.
Glee.
Doctor Who panel.
Looking back,
We're
Glee,
also on
looking
half of,
back
me and
Adam
Kylie are on like
McNeil.
half those
Looking
too.
back 6 feet under.
6 feet under.
Yeah,
oh my
Sarah's
gosh.
been on quite a few.
I'm around if you know her. Kimmy Schmidt,
Kimmy Schmidt.
Buffy.
Buffy.
Podcast.
I'm
for.
just everywhere.
Hot kettle.
Maybe not,
I fully admit.
but I don't get paid, so maybe more like there's a child here.
Yes, there is. Junior podcaster Vanessa is in the
She's
house.
here.
You
Hi,
can say
Vanessa.
hello. You
She
don't
has
have
It's
food.
okay.
She just took a bite, you guys.
It's
She's eating.
peanut butter, to be fair.
She's
so.
eating.
to. Okay. Well, welcome to Sarah.
Thanks.
And
Hi, I'm Jeremy.
hi, Jeremy.
I started watching the show because it was the thing to do at the time. It was the new hot show, and my husband said we had to watch it, so I started watching it. Kind of like Sarah.
Yeah.
I just kept watching it because I found it really interesting. It was a very cool, like, Mod Podge of 80s / horror / it's, I don't know, it's a lot of different things mashed together, which I really enjoyed. I kept watching because I wanted to see where everything was going, the backstories, which we'll get into later.
Apparently you have feelings too.
I do. And then I would find myself as a combination of a couple different characters, just like Hilary.
That's right. Just own it.
I do this every time.
Me too.
I am
There
a
you go.
Will because I love the dark aspect of everything, but I'm also a Dustin. If I was to be part of the Star Wars universe, I would still go to the dark side of the Force because I'm so fascinated by the power involved.
So you want to be in the Upside Down and
Yes.
befriend all the
Oh
characters.
yeah, the Mind Flayer could come right inside my body right now.
That's a lot of information.
And that could be the hive mind.
Well, someone's got to do it, so I guess it's you.
Yep, you're nominated. Welcome to Jeremy. Listeners might be familiar with Jeremy's voice from our Supernatural panel, our 13 Reasons Why panel. You were on the 6 Feet Under panel. Am I missing any?
I think that's it.
I think that's it too. And of course, now it's my turn. My name is Kylie. I'm moderating and participating today as a panelist. Last time, I was Mike and Joyce because I found it hard to handle. However, I am now desensitized to the whole Stranger Things hard to handle business. And now it'll be a combination of Will and Mike. I actually wrote the Will description a little bit with myself in mind because part of me loves this horror connection and all sorts of unexpected ways, unwittingly, and even though I know this connection will most likely result in nightmares, heck yes, blah, 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 I realize I'm connected to the hive intelligence that adores this show worldwide. Very true. I adore this show. It is one of my favorite shows currently on the air. I also love all the child characters. I said that the last time, and I do think the story is a great adventure. Every season is a great adventure. although it's a little more graphic than Goonies. But now we're going to talk about it.
I mean, you want to watch more horror?
We'll
Since
talk.
you love those aspects?
Just with all the horror movies behind
I mean,
you.
those are mostly because of Kyle, but obviously we would probably not be married if I wasn't okay with it, so...
Whereas I am a work in progress, and Stranger Things is enough of a dose right now.
Okay.
We'll work toward it.
Just glad we're clearing that up now.
Okay, so the main question, we'll save these two little intermediary questions until the end. The main question of the now is, what did you think of season 2? What did you like? What didn't you like? We had kind of a whole new set of mysteries with all of the same characters, but for like 4 brand new ones. So tell me what you liked and what you didn't like.
Oh, Kylie. Oh, Kylie.
I looked at you first, man. You told me you had feelings.
Oh, what?
Express them.
Oh, I love the kids. I mean, just like they were growing so well, and I love what they're doing with Dustin, befriending Dart, or at least trying to, and his relationship with Steve, which I know we're going to get into because that's obviously a huge thing.
Justice for Muse.
Oh, poor Muse, the kitty.
Yes.
Oh, I'm like, who's that?
It's the cat.
The cat.
We
cat
all knew
got
it was going
eaten.
there.
That was traumatizing.
Should I talk about the things I don't like? I don't want to go
You can
dark
say-
right away.
You
I
can
mean,
talk about whatever you want. We have a vocal group. They'll agree or disagree.
I'm sure they will.
Don't you worry.
I remember when I was watching it all the way through when it came out, my initial feeling at the end of the season was, that's it? And kind of just this feeling of disappointment and feeling like there was something lacking. Now, I didn't rewatch it before tonight's podcast. Maybe a second viewing could alleviate some of that disappointment, but I just found myself, there was one character and storyline that I just absolutely loathed. Like, anytime Billy came on the screen, I absolutely wanted to fast forward. I don't fast forward through movies or TV shows, but that was the one time in my life that whenever he came on the screen, I was like, no, I do not like this character. I don't like the actor. I don't like the reason for his presence on the show. I don't like the fact that there was nothing made of his character.
Well, they tried to give you like that little 10 minutes with his dad, but
Yeah,
made him
that's
so
it.
horrible that you're like, well, good, I'm glad his dad's abusive. Like, he's so unlikable that it didn't balance out.
I thought it was going to be that him and the sister didn't have parents.
That's
and
what
that
I
was like a
thought.
secret, like he had
Like,
to take
he was
care
on
of
the
her,
run
but he
with
was
her or
abusive to
something.
her, but she couldn't tell anyone because they didn't have parents. But then they had parents. So I did not understand like that
The
dynamic.
it was weird.
I mean, he's bullied, so he bullies her. I get it, but it just
Yeah,
didn't seem that related to the
I feel like
greater good of the show.
I feel like he was supposed to be like the human villain of the season, and for whatever reason, it just never panned out. And I don't know, his very presence just made me so angry.
Yeah,
and not
or-
from a character.
I was
perspective
also waiting
either.
for him to have to like help more. I don't know. I agree.
Okay.
I think he was a good idea. I just don't think it was
There's-
developed.
I think they could have wrote him right out of the show and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. Totally. That is exactly what my thoughts are.
I just kept waiting for there to be a reason. But then there just never was. So then at the end I was like, okay, well,
I
why?
just kept waiting for him to die. Some gruesome, bloody death.
He survives.
He
Spoiler.
lives.
He's
I mean-
probably going to come back.
Yeah,
in the next
he's gonna
season, and
come
they're
back.
Probably
I mean,
going
that's
to do
the
more
whole
with
point
him.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's
especially
just a
since
way
they
to
set up the Mrs. Robinson
Right.
angle at the
It's
end
a
of the season.
it's a way to set up another character. I didn't feel nearly as strongly about it. I mean, he's
Me
definitely
either.
not the focal point anyway. So I do agree with Jeremy though that at least as of what we've been given so far, he doesn't necessarily need to be there to contribute. But they're clearly setting it up for more. I mean, that's pretty apparent, at least to me. But
Kind
I
of
just-
reminded me of the bully character from It.
Yeah, Henry Bowers.
Yeah.
He's basically a combination homage of bully characters
I
throughout
mean, that's
Oh,
the
and,
whole
these
point.
movies.
Which is
Biff
Kiefer-
Tannen, there was a little bit
Kiefer
of...
Sutherland and
I mean,
Stand
that's
By
what I'm
Me.
saying.
Yes,
So
he
when
was
you think of
definitely
it from
Ace.
now, I mean, that's what they're constantly trying to do is literally envelop as much of the 80s as they possibly can and
Yeah.
all of their nods. So to me, it kind of made sense. But I mean, I understand that perspective. I just did not feel that strongly.
I didn't hate him or anything. I just kept waiting for
Yeah, if you
there
had
to
to
be
pick
a
out
really good revelation,
I didn't hate it,
and
but
it
he
just
was
didn't
the weak
happen.
link. For the most part, I loved everything about this season. I thought it was really well done. My biggest nitpick is I think they held 11 back away from the other kids for too long.
Yes, thank you.
And it's like, I know why they did it, because they built her up as so powerful that she could pretty easily wrap up almost any problem they had, so they had to give her all the side problems, which I feel like the one episode in Chicago where it's her by herself is the weakest episode of the season.
Yep.
That's a very controversial episode.
Because she could have just left the cabin and then gone to help them, and you wouldn't have missed anything other than her little punk outfit and the cute little reaction to that with Hopper. But other than that little nitpick, I thought everything was really good.
I also loved the season. I liked it a
Yeah.
little better than the first season. The Billy thing I did not have a stronger reaction. You're supposed to hate that guy. I was mostly viscerally kind of mad at his wanting to drive a wedge between Lucas and Max. I didn't understand what his problem was with Lucas. I'm wondering if they're just trying to set him up to be a racist. That's one of the
That's
questions.
what it came off like.
Yeah, that's what it felt
Even
like.
if they didn't mean for it to, that's kind of
How
what
it
you
felt.
felt like.
Yeah.
I think.
But I also think I agree with Kyle and Hilary. I think that he's being set up, maybe you said this too, I think he's being set up for something more down the line. Right now he was a little bit of kind of a human side villain because they couldn't spend the entire season in the Upside Down. But the rest of it, I wasn't even as bothered by 11's separation or the controversial 7th episode. The 7th episode gave us some nuggets. Now, whether or not you believe those nuggets, we can talk about. But I liked how they kind of developed her on the side. I think she will be more integrated in the future. And because
I think it's because they
powers.
needed her to grow beyond, obviously just the relationship. I mean, the first relationship she's ever had is with these people.
Yeah.
And obviously we can talk about her relationship with Jim this season too, but there needed to probably be some breakaway for that.
Yeah.
To come to the other realizations. Because, I mean, it's just development. That's the way I took it.
I'm very, very worried for her character. I'm worried she's going to turn into Castiel from Supernatural. A beloved character.
Say things to people that don't.
Okay.
That only saw the musical episode.
So, Castiel from Supernatural.
Nick's on that panel, not Sarah.
A beloved character that everyone loves, introduced, 11 was introduced at the very beginning, but a beloved character who's all-powerful, that people want to see happy and every good things happen to them.
They want him to say his things that he says, like ass butt, but continue.
But as Kyle was saying, that she's powerful and can take the story and wrap everything up very easily for the characters, so they have to. It seems to me that Castiel has been deliberately kept from a lot of the show in Supernatural throughout the entire run after his introduction. Like there'd be whole swaths of episodes where he would not be there, and people would be like, "Where's Castiel? Where's Castiel?" I'm worried that's going to happen to 11, where it's just like, "Oh well, kind of have to push her off here for 2-3 episodes so she doesn't wrap up the show in 2 minutes." And it's just,
you might be surprised though.
I'm hoping that's what happens. I'm just
I
worried.
have a counterpoint. Half of the Castiel problem was there's two halves to the Castiel problem. The first is they didn't have the budget to pay Misha as a regular all of the seasons. The second is after the first 5 seasons, which were mapped out by Eric Kripke to the letter once he left as showrunner, they struggled from season 6 to 8 to figure out what they were going to do.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
And so Castiel went through we talk about this quite extensively actually on the Supernatural podcast. He used to be sort of lawful neutral in terms of his alignment in the nerd spectrum, but he's gone chaotic, he's gone good,
he's gone all over
he's
the
gone
place.
evil.
He's a product of his writing.
Yeah, he is, very much so. He's been God, he's been the king of hell, he's been this, he's let out the Leviathan in the controversial 7th season.
Yes.
So Castiel is kind of a writing problem. I don't think that's going to happen over here in Stranger Things with 11. 11 is kind of the fulcrum around the whole show. She's, other than Will, who kind of represents sort of the passive influence by the Upside Down, 11 is actively influenced by the Upside Down and influences the Upside Down. I don't think she's going to become a non-starter at any point throughout this show, or the narrative of this show.
I really enjoyed the whole season. There was a few things I didn't like about it. For instance, that 7th episode. I didn't like the little teasers with, was it 8 or 7?
Yes.
8.
Her real name's Kylie.
Because now, for me, there's 9 more characters I need to learn about and figure out where they went, what happened to them, what they can do, and that is just, it's driving me insane. I also
You mean her and her gang?
No.
Kylie and her gang?
I think
the
those
11
two were the
people.
only ones that survived.
And I don't know if they're going to go there or if there's going to be more coming out of the woodwork, because they can always throw another character, like a 9 or a 10 in there.
Well, I think this is an homage to the Eve 6 episode.
I was
going to
say that. Is this an Eve 6 thing?
There's lots of nods to the X-Files, and the X-Files itself nods many other things, but yes, there
I
is.
think that's part of it. But also, I think the key revelation out of the controversial 7th episode is that the guy, who, by the way, was in the Runaway episode of the X-Files, said that Dr. Martin Brenner was still alive. Even though we thought,
I missed that.
Yeah, he said 11 tells him, no, he's dead. I killed him, and he says, no, he's alive, and I can tell you where he is. And she keeps having those vivid visions of him. Now, one is controlled by Kylie because she's got this psychokinetic mind control business, but
This is like a Smoky Man thing. She's never gonna die.
I think, you know what? I wonder if by
Like an
that point,
X-Files.
Yeah.
Guy's always alive.
yeah,
Well,
they're always alive.
Well,
I wonder if by that point I had kind of zoned out on that episode, so I probably missed that part. I was like, oh, I missed the key story part of that episode.
I read something
zoned
somewhere.
out.
Well, it was a
Lines.
quick line in an intense moment. So I mean,
Okay, yeah.
It was mostly a boring episode, but that was the key takeaway.
although I did like that whole episode, the punks are all homages to specific characters from Return of the Living Dead, which I got a chuckle out of that. But otherwise, I just feel like you could take it out and the show doesn't lose much.
Yeah. They basically made an extra episode just so they could make that episode.
Yeah, right.
Because the first season was 8 episodes.
Somebody somewhere said, if you need to go make a good soup, do it during that episode.
Aww.
it reminded me of Roswell. Did anybody watch Roswell?
You keep
I think
trying,
I've seen
man.
a couple of years ago.
Wasn't that canceled? Because
Yeah.
nobody watched it.
It was on for a while, but I mean, eventually most shows do get canceled.
Your husband must have
unless
made you
you're
watch
like
that.
No,
this-
that's a Sarah show.
No, Nick only watched it because we were dating. But they do one where they go to the underground of New York, and there's these punk versions of like the characters. It reminded me of that. So, if you're a Roswell fan, tweet at me, yo.
What's your Twitter handle?
It's Brawla Joy.
My two favorite things of this season are easily Babysitter Steve and Everything About Steve.
Yeah. Yes,
I
You're
mean,
just saying
awesome.
Steve.
Well, I'm just saying.
Especially his hair.
In season 1, you really like Jonathan and hate Steve, and then season 2 flipped that for me.
I'm just gonna go-
Jonathan
can
was
I-
so much more bland, and Steve
Yeah.
was a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
I'm
Very
just going to
true.
say either way, they're both too good for Nancy.
Snaps.
And then the surprise was Bob.
Yes! Oh, Bob.
I kind of felt like that was going to happen.
I just thought-
I didn't want it to, but I was like, oh,
But he's
he
Mikey
gonna
from the
Yeah.
Goonies and
Yeah.
Sam from the Lord of the Rings.
and Rudy.
And Rudy.
Right?
He's like
Yes.
a nerd icon. And,
Pretty much.
And he was in this Stranger Things. He was one of my favorite additions as well.
And that's part of the thing I mentioned in the season 1 podcast is about how the Duffer Brothers are really good at subverting your expectations. That's another element of them subverting your expectations. You think, oh hey, it's Sean Astin. He's gonna be a great character, sidekick, and everyone's gonna love him. He's gonna be this really great guy, and everything's gonna be fine for him. And no, then he dies brutally.
But if you know your horror movie rules, the nice people always die.
That was a really good part of that episode. Like that was, I was on the edge of my seat when
Yeah.
they were chasing.
It was intense.
I either thought he was going to die or he was going to end up being evil somehow.
I mean, the first couple episodes, they set him up
you were like,
to where you don't know
Yeah.
what his angle is.
Oh, because he tells them to not run away from the mind flayer.
Yeah, and when he's like, when they go out on Halloween and he's checking his camera to see what they were doing, like they almost give it that ominous air of like, why is he you find out he generally cares about Will. That's
Yeah.
why he's doing
And
it.
he ends
But
up
the
being
way they show it is almost like out of a horror movie.
Yeah, and he ends up being a badass hero.
Yeah.
So
Superhero Bob. Sean Astin still hashtag Superhero Bob.
Also, Paul Reiser,
saves the day.
since we're talking about expectations, he's
Yeah,
pretty much playing the
we thought
exact
he was-
same shady character from
Aliens.
Aliens.
I
Aliens,
know.
yeah.
I was
And then
like,
when you
it's
find out that
Kirk.
he actually does want to help them,
Yeah.
and he's willing to
Right.
hold back on his job to protect Will.
I still didn't trust him really.
Yeah.
I was like,
All the way up
you
until the last
said
episode.
so.
element. Yeah.
All the way up until last episode when he gives Hopper the papers
Yeah.
to help Eleven. I kept thinking, okay, he's gonna pull something on them.
He's
at some
gonna
point.
be-
Because he's basically the show's smoking man.
Yeah.
He was giving them all the lines. Oh, he just has PTSD. Oh, the crops, they're, we're working on it.
How many smoking men do they have in this?
It was kind of cool that him and
That was
Winona
a cigarette
Ryder both
smoking
the
man.
aliens.
Yeah.
franchise.
And obviously, this whole season was a huge Aliens reference.
Yes,
I mean,
it
the
was.
tunnels, the Demodogs,
Yeah.
and
Also, E.T., though, wrapped up in
Yeah.
that in a big way because, Musketeers versus Reese's Pieces. Garbage, found him in the
Blind
garbage.
Gremlins.
The mucousy blight. Aliens.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Love mucus
I mean, you could
blight.
probably spend just like a couple hours just listing
Yeah.
every single little homage. I mean, you could go through just shot for shot on every episode and pick out things.
Who was really surprised that they had the budget to get the Ghostbusters theme song?
That is really a good point.
Talk about subverting. Who liked the whole interchange about the fact that Mike and Lucas showed up as Venkman?
I mean, I just like all of it.
Growing up in like the 80s and 90s, that's what happened. Everybody loved
Wanted to be.
Venkman.
Well,
Says the guy
yeah.
wearing a
And they
That's
were
my
the
shirt.
racial
Yeah.
thing. He's like, why do I have
Because
to
I'm
be
black.
white?
But I disagree with his assessment. Winston is
Winston,
funny.
yeah,
Winston's
they're all
my
great.
favorite.
Winston's is I love
Winston
has
shows
some of the
up.
best
I love
lines.
Winston.
He
in the movie.
does. I agree. He's got the line that says, Rick, if someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Or that's a big Twinkie.
That is a big thing. Which my friend said you can always use euphemistically. Hashtag PG-13.
Kyle is wearing a Ghostbuster shirt.
He is. That's right.
And the
To say
Ecto
nothing
1 is
of
on
the
the shelf
Ghostbuster
behind
tattoo.
you.
Oh yeah, the tattoo, but they can't see that.
That's true. Well,
They can't see
They
the
get
shirt
either.
You guys can though.
So we were talking about Sean Astin, and what I also thought was fun was them pairing him off with Winona Ryder.
Mm-hmm.
They've never been in a project together up until this. They're the same age. They were in just as many 80s
Yep,
movies, but never one together, and they made them a couple, which I thought was hilarious. Good fun.
That is a really cool. Yeah, I always love anytime there's an 80s actor in this show, I just stand up and cheer and say yes.
Do you really do
Eat it
that?
Well, not figuratively, but
Okay.
I'm just happy they gave Joyce something good to have after,
And then
everything.
took it
Yeah.
away,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah, they
it
did
away,
take it away, but
but-
I mean, at least she had some. I mean, yeah, that woman's gone through. I mean, she is a tough broad. I'm just
oh,
gonna
I
say.
love her.
And the
She's gone
smart
through a lot.
one.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
that's something I liked about the
No
season.
one
They gave her
listens
more
to
to
her,
do
even still.
than because I mean, in the first season, her arc was obviously very emotional, but she spent so much time like in that house by herself, like acting against nothing.
Except the Ouija wall.
Yeah, so it was nice to see her be more part of the ensemble.
I loved the whole interchange where they were figuring out the now memories being the route map and putting
Oh
it
yeah,
all
that
that was
over
really
the
cool. That was
house.
a great sequence.
And the fact that she saw the shadow of the mind flayer in the videotape and she actually recognized it enough. I loved that whole exchange. And even that's when you kind of realize Bob isn't maybe as all-knowing because he's playing around with okay, we're actually going to this now. So I just love Sean Astin, though, I'm not going to lie.
I really like him in 50 First Dates. I'm just going to
I enjoy the 51st
it's been a while
Dates,
since
too.
I've
It's on the Netflix.
Yeah.
It's on
Netflix.
Netflix.
Send us some money.
That's right. We're covering your shows.
I also want to tell you, and you can feel free to cut this, but I saw a poster today for Beetlejuice 2. I don't know if it was legit or not.
The
They are
trailer,
making one.
Is it? Okay.
It's awesome.
Winona
It's
looked
amazing.
awesome in the picture. She's
Is
like,
it got the people in it?
it's Winona and Michael Keaton. Yeah.
Is Gina
Does-
and
I only saw the
think
poster
Adam
and it
posted
was
it.
Yeah, they've been trying to make that for like 10 years,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't be surprised if it actually happened.
poster
I stopped
was-
following it.
Beetlejuice on one page and Lydia on the other, but she's grown up and she's like shushing him and she has like a red veil and it's all cool looking. I don't know.
Huh, interesting.
So Winona, you're getting some good stuff going for us. We like it.
Yeah. Hashtag comeback. Since Black Swan, anyway. What else did you like or not like about this season? What about Mad Max?
I did like Max. Max was a really cool character. I really liked the fact that she was a badass video game player. I love that fact. I liked the fact that she was...
I just like she could put all the boys in their place.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Mm-hmm.
And again, it kind of is also reminiscent of it, too. I mean, it's kind of a similar thing going on there, too. But I liked it. I liked that they added that into it with the boys.
I think they needed another girl.
They needed
Yeah,
another
yes.
girl.
Yeah, one that can talk, because, 11, she struggles sometimes. I mean, Jane.
Oh, of course,
Really?
yeah. Let's call her 11. 11's a good name. It's a unique name.
Or Elle. She does go by Elle.
Mm-hmm.
Her and Mike got together, finally.
Oh, that was
by
sweet.
the end.
Although
They
I do-
love each other. It's cute.
Again, I have thoughts about that ending.
Please share them. We're
Oh,
just
now we're gonna do it
around.
now. Okay, I
There's
don't want to harp on negatives, but
I thought it was cute that Nancy danced with what's his name.
yes, that was
Dustin.
That was
pretty cool.
sweet.
That was really cool.
Well, he really tried, and Steve gave him that
I was
Farrah
gonna say,
Fawcett
Steve
hairspray.
I know.
dropping him off at the and giving him the advice before
That was
driving
cute.
off.
And the only time he listened to stop doing the brown pearls, my pearls, Steve said it.
Yeah. Oh, that moment when Dustin is standing there around and he's like, no one's dancing with him, it just like broke my heart because I
Yeah.
totally understood it. And I was just like,
Well,
oh yeah,
I think that's
I know
another,
that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's another reason why everyone loves this show. I mean, even the younger kids who maybe don't understand all the references, is that ultimately
Everyone
it's
goes
still
through
coming.
something similar,
Yeah, it's still
no matter
coming
what
of age,
year.
and it's still relatable. So we've all had. I mean, a lot of people have had those moments. Definitely.
Well, and as I said in our first episode, being the oldest one in the room here, I actually viscerally, I can remember, I would have been 7 in the year that they depicted in this show, and I remember all those cars and all those clothes and the video games they were playing that were in the big video game machines, and it just gives me a lot of flashbacks to elementary school while I'm watching it. Things I haven't thought about since probably elementary
Right,
school.
yeah.
Where'd you go to elementary?
Glenwood Elementary in Kentwood, Michigan.
Yeah, shout out Glenwood.
we all.
Hello, Glenwood. It sounds like the type of city you would say when, or it's not really a city, but it's like the people, the rock star that says hello, Glen. I don't know. It's a weird reference. Never mind. Move on.
Their mascot is the Gladiators. That's all. So my nostalgia killed that. Okay, great.
Well, you want me to talk about the
the ending.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
Why don't you like the
Yeah,
ending?
why don't you like the
let's
ending?
not-
It's like everyone likes
It's
the ending.
I
a
did.
double-edged
Why?
sword.
What was the
Which
ending?
part of
Double-edged
it?
sword. Okay, so
The snowball and Mike and 11 kissed and Lucas and Max kissed.
Oh,
and
that.
Dustin
Thing.
danced with Nancy,
And then you see that on the other side,
The
the
mind
mind
flayer
flayer is still watching.
towering over, pissed. He's pissed.
What is a mind flare? You guys
It's
that big
monster.
spider
It's a
in
big
the
old-
monster?
I didn't know that was what we were calling that.
That's what they call it by
That's-
the end of the season. It's
Why
a
do I-
Dungeons and Dragons reference.
Oh, Lord. That's why I
I
don't
thought
know
they were
no one
going
will
to
play
call
with
it the
me.
Thessal Hydra.
Yeah.
Because that was in the end of the first season.
They were, but no, they
Okay.
didn't. That was probably a red herring spoiler, which
Alright,
they
yeah.
do for these very popular
I'm just
shows.
glad that they don't want to call it the smoke monster because that makes me think of Lost. But anyway,
Okay, go on.
Also
sorry.
derivative.
so here's the thing about that ending. I like the fact that it was wrapping up the kids' storylines in the season, and I like the fact that you get a moment between Mike and 11, and it's a sweet moment. The song that is playing is "Every Breath You Take" by The Police, and I am listening to this song and I'm seeing that moment, and it's like, come on now. That song is not romantic at all. That is now wait just a
But
moment.
in the
Wait
80s,
just a
everyone
moment.
thought
Wait,
it
I'm not
was.
finished with my thought, and I know you're raising your hand, Kylie, and I'm going to get to that because what I'm saying is I had issues with the ending, but then as I thought about it some more, I know why the song is used. The song is used because of the sinister undertones, and they're using it for the moment where they've switched to the upside down, and you see the
Mind Flayer.
mind flayer looming over the middle school and watching over the whatever's happening. So obviously that song was used to put a button on that moment in the upside down. And it was also meant to be like, oh, again, subverting your expectations because you think that the song is meant to be there for the romantic aspect of it rather than for the sinister aspect. It just, at the moment as I was watching it, it made me upset because I was like, oh, they're using this song. It's meant to be romantic, and it's not a romantic song. It bothered me. As I thought about it some more, I did think, okay, I see the choice they were making there, and I appreciate that. So
And
I'm
Hilary,
coming around
what
to
were
it.
you going to
Well,
What
say?
I was going to say
Sorry.
is,
Oh, I didn't mean to.
is that again, even still, while there's some truths to what you said. I mean, in the 80s, though, everyone thought that it was a love song, and then
Yes.
Sting later said,
And the 90s, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
He said
and-
it like 10 years later.
And just
Yes.
thematically, I just felt it fit because most of the season is him calling her every night and her using her powers to
Right.
watch him, or like when she goes to the gym and she's watching. I just felt it just fit.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought it was actually kind of the perfect song to use for the moment because of everything they set up. Mike and Eleven are very sweet, but at the same time, they're both coming from somewhat dysfunctional places. So I think they're setting up what could be potentially unhealthy for them, or at least in terms of when they're in danger, this is going to be their weakness kind of a thing.
I mean, it's a hormonal time anyway.
Well,
so-
that's
and
my
it's a
question.
horror show.
What is it appropriate? I did not kiss people in that age. Is this
They're 13 in this season.
correct? Not me. So
I can't answer that question because I was not a normal teenager
Yeah, me
or
neither.
preteen. So
right? Is this normal? Is this what people do?
I mean, when I was in high school,
Nowadays-
kids were already having sex, so I'm sorry. Now, was I one of... No, I was on the... Of, like, I'm just excited to maybe, like, dance with a boy, maybe.
Oh, a boy
But-
would not have asked me to dance.
I
would not have. I would have been like, no. I'm so scared of boys.
Okay, so
I can't
pretty much
really
not
get to the
different
who
from
would
right
be
now, but I'm
questions.
just saying.
No, but I mean, so that's not. I thought it was a little premature, but maybe I'm just wrong.
But they were little pecks. It wasn't like they were
No,
making
I actually
out.
think that's relatively typical in a
Typical?
lot of
Okay.
situations.
Yeah.
Because it's a coming of age thing, like we kind of already said. And they've been through so much already. They have these
shared
connections.
trauma.
Yeah,
it was nice
shared
they finally
trauma.
reunited.
They have these
As the
connections with each
conspiracy
other.
theorist Bauman said when he was trying to encourage Nancy and Jonathan to realize that they had the hots for each other. Shared trauma.
They can go to the same therapist later in life.
Yeah, exactly. That's
There
what I'm
you
saying.
go.
They can get into abusive relationships.
You know what part I thought was really sad?
What?
All that stuff with Barb's parents.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
The
Oh,
dinner scene with
everyone-
justice for
What
Barb,
about-
guys.
Well,
Yeah.
she got it.
I know she.
But I also
just-
like that there are repercussions for like
That's
things
true.
like because I mean so many other shows somebody dies and by the next season nobody remembers them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to have amongst all this fantastical elements have something that's more realistic and grounded.
They didn't end up selling their house, right?
No.
They revealed
They-
that like the government
okay.
was responsible, although they lied about the reasoning.
It's so sad.
But they did that because Bauman released the tape and the watered
Right, that's
down
right, that's
version that Nancy and Jonathan made, where Owens admitted what they did.
yeah, so sad.
Yeah.
It just made me sad that scene
No,
at
it-
dinner. I was like, oh,
That's a
Yeah.
really good scene. I like.
It was so good.
And I like Nancy and Steve being there. and
I was going to say,
trying to
I like
comfort
that they
them.
still went to visit
Mhm.
them.
Yeah.
I mean,
and those parents were good actors, and I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
recognize them, but I'm sure they've done many things, and they were just. It was good casting. Shout out, good job.
I feel like I wish the Justice for Barb storyline had been handled better. It seemed to me that it veered too much into the relationship between Jonathan and Nancy, and the whole moonlighting-esque aspect of it, which I was just like, oh hey, moonlighting reference, yay. And I was just like, okay, I mean, I don't really care about this relationship, and I don't care about this conspiracy theorist guy, although I understand the conspiracy theorist guy needs to be there in order to get the whole, ball rolling in this storyline.
And he
It
was
just-
our resident lone gunman.
Exactly, yeah. But I don't know, it just seemed like that focus became too much about Jonathan and Nancy and their relationship, and it's just like, is that really justice for Barb then? If we're dealing with these two and their whatever's going on. I almost did a hand gesture of them smacking together, which would be kind of slightly inappropriate gesture, I
I don't
guess,
think
so.
they smacked anything together.
Oh, you don't think so?
Not yet, but I don't know. I have a question piggybacking
Okay, go
off of
ahead.
that.
Oh,
Do you think that if people hadn't latched onto Barb so much and been like, Justice for Barb on social
yeah.
media, that they would have even written anything about her this season.
You know, I have to wonder, honestly.
I kind of wonder if they wouldn't have, but because she got an Emmy nomination.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if like that hadn't been a big thing, if they would ever have even referenced that.
I feel like it was a surprise for the writers and everyone involved in the first season that they weren't expecting her character to be as big as it was. I don't know. I agree with that. I think there might have been something that was like, oh, we got to do something with this so that we can, people are responding to this.
Yeah.
Well,
show the Justice for Barb.
Yeah, and to this end, I agree with Kyle. I mean, I think we're fortunate to get what we got.
That's true, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, normally the slashed and torn victim of the horror piece is done. They're just dead.
Yeah.
That is
so
true. That is very true.
she had a whole three-dimensional storyline posthumously, which I thought, and the Nancy
again, it's showing the side effects of what happens in small communities when things, obviously
come out of an upside down.
Right. Obviously there's some fictional aspects here, but still, it's the effects of what happens when people are lost like that. So,
Yeah. And the Nancy and Jonathan thing, it happened in that moment, and maybe that was weird, but it was going to happen this season. It was set up in the first season, and when she broke up with Steve in the second episode of the season because she got drunk and told him she didn't love him.
Where are you going to go with there? Yeah.
Exactly. I knew exactly where he knew exactly where she was going.
Yeah.
Billy the jerk knew exactly where she was going.
Can I pose a question to the people on the panel that like guys?
Sure.
Would you rather be with
upstairs,
Steve?
Kyle doesn't like guys.
Yeah.
I'm
married to her. Would you guys rather be with Steve or Jonathan?
Steve. The hair.
That was Kyle, by the way.
You know what? Fair enough. He does have his man crushes, but
I think I picked Steve, you guys.
Not Billy? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I think
really not Billy.
the first season I was like, why isn't she with Jonathan? But this season I'm like, dude, Steve, y'all.
I don't know.
For you, not her. You get to pick for you.
No, I know. Well, Steve has still got an essence of Steve that... and Jonathan's probably more my speed.
I was going to say she would probably still pick Jonathan overall, but she can see some of the attractive traits of Steve.
Steve's basically Ferris Bueller, which is why he was in the Ferris Bueller commercial.
I think Jonathan looked a little bit like a lizard. I don't know.
Oh,
so you're just saying based off pure physical attributes.
He's a babysitter. He makes it actually good babysitter. He's good with the kids.
Yeah.
You can settle down with that guy.
He has like a nail bag.
He's got beautiful hair, like I mentioned before.
Jonathan been good with the kids?
Jonathan
he's very protective
of the kids.
Well, you guys can have Jonathan. We'll take Steve.
I just like them both.
We'll share him.
I'm saying, like, if we were that age. I'm not like a creepy. But we could segue into the creepy cougar storyline with...
No. We can't,
Wait,
but
did anybody else catch the thing where one of the kids says when she comes downstairs, how was the pullout?
Oh, yeah.
That reference, I was like, is that a reference to sex? Or is that a reference to the actual couch?
Oh, I don't know.
It was supposed to be,
I didn't get it.
Yeah, they were having scrambled eggs. It was a thing. He laughed. He said, sure. And they went like this.
Well, because, they're shocked faces.
Yeah.
You could create a Facebook poll on who people would rather choose.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, no. I will, though.
Yeah, but probably right now Steve will probably end up being a little bit ahead because he did make a lot of impressions on people after what they did with his character.
He was a surprisingly good babysitter.
Well, and
And
then he
he
did
befriended
help Dustin.
Dustin.
Yeah, that was really
That was cute. He helped him with his hair.
Yeah, he helped him with his hair, and they went off into the woods together. And it was really, that doesn't sound right.
Then the hair.
So it was, I don't know. Yeah, he'll probably win, but you should still do it. Do the poll.
Okay. Sounds good. We have hardly talked about Jim and 11.
Oh, God, that's all I haven't we?
Yeah,
That's
I
amazing.
We talked about 11. What about Jim? What do you want to know?
No, the Jim and 11.
He kind of
living together?
Yeah,
like
the
adopted
Their cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
It was actually described.
I thought that was really a well-written part of the show.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I loved about
I
the
loved the
season.
egos. I loved her learning how to interact more with people with him.
They're essentially both the missing half that they each needed.
Yeah.
Especially when
And
you
of
see
course
Jim
they're
from the start of season 1 where he's barely functioning cop. He just doesn't care about his job or his life. And then see him with a purpose and driven. He's almost a completely different character.
Yes. Kyle and I are in sync this time.
His dancing is very envious.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I had Steve's hair, and I wish I could dance like Jim Hopper.
All right. To Bad Back
Did you
Leroy
say
Brown.
Jim Halpert?
Hopper.
That's a different podcast.
I know. I was like, are you on The Office? Where do I have it?
Although Hearts for him.
Oh, of course. Obviously, yes.
Different podcast.
Different podcast we haven't done yet.
We will, though.
I'm on that.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
It was a really very cool dynamic between Eleven and Jim Hopper. Even in its dysfunction, there was that element of they're both learning to navigate this very obviously loving relationship between them. But for so long, Eleven has never known love. Jim Hopper has basically vanquished all love because of the loss in his life. And so they're both relearning, or learning in Eleven's aspect, to deal with that emotion again. And they're doing it not in the best way sometimes.
Well, I think they're both learning how to communicate.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, this is normal relationships. They're both coming from situations. They haven't, lived with people in that situation for a long time. And, of course, obviously with everything, again, the trauma and everything they've been through, they're going to go through those ups and downs. And, yeah, it's just, when you're going through a down with 11, she's going to break some shit. I mean,
she's going to have a psychic temper tantrum
yes.
and break the whole house. Whatever.
But I mean, I liked that. Again, there's still some good coming from all of the bad.
I actually can't wait to see now that
Yes.
11/Jane has been declared his legal daughter through Owen's intervention by the end of the season, what that relationship will look like now. I'm excited for that, and I'm also incredibly terrified by the mind flare.
Oh.
And his
I really
talent
love
over the
it.
middle
I mean,
school.
think about the first time you saw that in the trailer. I was instantly all...
Yeah,
I mean,
that
I was already
was
going
a
to watch
great
the
image.
second season because, I mean, it's an amazing show to begin with. But when the first time you see that come on, we all were, eating up the trailer.
I actually avoided the trailer,
Close
so
Encounters of the
the
Yeah,
very
I
first
did
time
not.
I saw the monster was actually watching the show.
Oh, really?
The very first promo for this season, it was an homage to Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yes,
where the
yeah.
door,
I'm
he's,
glad
the
someone
kid's
noticed
standing there, the door opens and you see
Uh-huh.
it. And it's,
I saw the still photograph with that.
but
kind
yeah, that was
of-
the very first
Yeah.
teaser. It's just a quick flash of that, and then Stranger Things, and the two drops in with the music.
I literally went, what?
How many more seasons has it been approved?
4, I think, is the last. Is that right?
Yeah,
They're
they want to
shooting
do
for
4,
4 or 5.
possibly 5 if their story needs to be stretched.
It's officially been renewed through season 3.
But yeah,
Okay.
when they did season 1, they had a basic
Outline.
end point, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, shows always work best when they do that.
Yeah. All I know is that, when I actually rewatched the series, as you know, or the season 2, because it had been 6 months. I watched season 2 the day it came out and had it done by the next day, which I don't do often with shows myself. And when I first saw this thing, I was terrified, and I did have a dream about it later on. But then I rewatched it.
She's always had an overactive imagination.
Shut up. But then sister. But then I rewatched the season for the podcast just to get it all back into my brain, and it's just as terrifying the second time. That's one of the best visual effects I've seen on a TV show in a very, very long time. I mean, it is truly a terrifying, much more so than the Demogorgon /
Demodogs.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I kept wondering even before the season came out. I was like, where are they going to go after,
Yeah, that's a question I had.
monster-wise?
Yeah.
Where are they going to go with this? They exceeded my expectations quite a bit. So
And they didn't beat him. 11
Yeah.
just closed the gate, so he's coming back.
But even still, the way that she handles that at the end is pretty
Awesome.
sweet.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
she
a little
basically
fire
goes,
starter / exorcist
Fiend-
going on in that.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit of phoenix. She's got all these aspects going on. The way she's taken on the mind flare.
Yeah.
Did you almost say Phoenix?
Yes.
Can I just say, I'm
You
gonna
can.
toot my own horn here. I was right. They totally did a little bit of a Phoenix storyline with Will.
Phoenix. What am I missing?
From
X-Men.
X-Men comics.
Yes.
He said this in our last. I know.
Guys,
Sarah's
I'm not.
lost.
I don't. I'm sorry.
It's a storyline about this girl who's kind of an everyday girl.
Do you
and she
know
become-
Jean Grey?
She's a very powerful
Did you see
psychopath.
X2
A lot like
X3
11.
movies?
I know the Freddy Krueger guy.
Don't go by the movies, though.
Okay, yes, well,
They're
I was,
wrong.
that's true.
I
it's
just
wrong.
I
using it
just
as a-
figured out who Castiel was. He's the guy that talks like this. Right? I mean, it took me that long. So I'll get this right.
Sarah's impression of Castiel.
Oh,
Yeah.
Misha.
TM.
So I'll Google the Phoenix thing later. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that was an interest. I'm just not cool. It's not you. I'm just more.
Sarah, you're funny.
I mean, I think I can't keep up with all the nerd verses.
No,
and so I
it's
try.
hard.
Can
It's
everybody
hard.
sacrifices something?
Yeah.
We get that you sacrifice comic books. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't hate them or anything. I don't know all the people.
It's okay.
I know the shoot guy, the hand shooter.
Spider-Man?
No, from the X-Men. The Hugh Jack, the Broadway guy.
Wolverine?
That guy. I know
Sorry.
him.
The Freddy Krueger guy. That's what she meant.
Yeah, the Freddy Krueger guy with the hands. And
Oh, Freddy Krueger. Oh my
I was gonna say I need
I
a
was like,
translator
where
for
did
that.
Freddy
Like I don't
Krueger
he's right there.
understand
So
what she
that
said.
nailed for me.
Okay,
Anyway.
fine.
That's legit. They both have the.
They
Claws?
both have claws.
No, that's a good point.
I wish this was videotaped so you could see.
I was
I'm
gonna
doing
say,
like a
really,
slash
this
thing.
is not doing any sort of.
Maybe we'll do Stranger Things live one day.
Oh, that'd be good.
Can I please be Barb?
You can
So
be
you
the
can die?
Okay.
Oh.
I don't care. I want to be her all.
Anyway, she really lets her powers loose full force
Yes,
on
like-
that thing.
yeah.
And
like
it's
Jean Grey.
amazing. I mean, when she, like, literally levitates herself, I was like, yes! Like, I totally had an orgasm, but...
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was really awesome.
I
that
also
moment.
love the visual effect of the gate closing because it
Oh,
already has
yeah.
kind of that filmy
Well, right.
mucus crystal, whatever.
Again, you've already brought up how well done these visual effects are. I mean,
Awesome.
yeah.
Because they're not overdone. It's not all CGI. And
It's
you don't
not.
feel like weird about it.
It's the perfect balance of sort of that
Everything feels
80s
like it has
retro
weight
practical
to it.
stuff to the computer stuff.
Good balance.
Yeah.
And they just use their budget really well.
They
Like,
do.
it's-
Well, they must have a big one now because
Oh, I'm
everybody
sure,
loves
yeah.
the show too.
Well, I mean, even the first season was a pretty low budget show. No, Netflix didn't think it would be a huge hit. They released it kind of quietly. They're just thinking that horror fans would love it. They didn't expect it to have as much mass appeal as it did.
It has mass appeal. There is a
Well, everybody
high-
likes that kind of retro feeling, I think, right
Yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah.
Nostalgia
They're rebooting
is...
everything.
Yeah.
Nostalgia's big. Well, and plus it's horror and it's horror homage, but it isn't like true horror per se. It doesn't have the same extremes that some horror movies have.
It's the 80s teenage horror that's
Yes.
accessible to people of a certain
80s
age.
teenage horror.
Yeah.
That's right. The stuff that I could sort of handle back then, not quite. So one of the questions that I'm being honest, one of the questions that I'd like to ask you. So we learn Jane/L/11 finds her mom Terry, who
that
is
was so sad.
I know, because that guy from Monroy fried her brain because Dr. Brenner, she actually found 11 with Kylie. That's how we know Kylie exists. And pulled her away, and she got hooked up to an electroshock machine and was fried in her brain. But she seems capable of some of the same psychokinetic abilities that 11 is, at least in terms of communicating with her daughter, making the lights flicker.
Getting a bloody nose.
Indeed. Do we think that they had these the whole time, or is this something that was instilled in them by
Well, it
Brenner's?
was a drug trial she did in college. They explained it in this first
They
season.
did?
Yeah.
I missed that twice.
And it killed most of them. It gave some latent, but they were getting like tumors and stuff.
Okay.
She was pregnant when she did the trial, which is what some of them were pregnant, and then that's how Brenner learned that the children were more powerful and more able to survive than.
When did they
Yes.
explain that in
Was
this
it as
episode?
an episode when Winona Ryder finds the mom when they're because they think
Oh, in the first season?
yeah when they think that there's a kid spotted that they think is Will, but it's 11 and they're tracking it.
Okay, I only watched the first season once, so I didn't remember that.
Yeah,
But okay.
There's a whole episode where they go and they meet her mom and they're talking to the sister about how she did these trials in college and nobody believed her.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
She didn't know she was pregnant, though, right? Was
Right,
that...
she didn't know.
Okay.
I did like in the second season how where all of the things that she's saying they seem random and they seem just like the gibberish of a person that is catatonic and
The
unfortunately
sunflower, the rainbow,
Yeah.
all that
yeah,
stuff.
but I liked how they incorporated that and it became significant and it was part of the story that filled in the gaps of how 11 became, how she got into the facility and all of that. I liked the fact that that story was very organically told, and I liked the way those elements were incorporated in it. And so that part of 11's backstory was very intriguing to me. I just wish it had been integrated a little bit better with the other characters.
Yeah. I mean, there are redeeming moments in that episode, but it is clearly the weakest of the 9. It is definitely the most boring of the 9. It does not hold up very well on the second watch, because you're like, okay, when are they getting to this thing? Isn't she supposed to run away from the cops?
Yeah.
When does this happen? Oh, I forgot. They had to do all this other stuff, like move the train and get her punk look. Yay. That was fun. We've also hardly talked about Will, except we do admit he was possessed by the Mind Flayer. Anyone want to talk about Will's part of the story? I mean, he was basically living the Exorcist storyline.
I want to say the first time he got possessed, the very first moment, I was like, burn it out, and I called it from the end. Burn it out.
Yeah, he recoiled from the heat pretty quickly. But it made for a nice parallel to the whole starting the roots on fire business. And
True. I liked his
stuff.
relationship with Mike, and I like there's the special friendship that they seem to be having and their connection, and that was really well, I think, established and developed throughout this season. It's interesting how the 4 main boys have these different dynamics, and these dynamics are really well established and really well, like, it's a writer's room wet dream, these 4 characters, because you can be like, okay, if we put these 2 together, this is one dynamic, and then if you put these 2 together, it's another dynamic, and so on and so forth. You can just, like, have, like, this interconnected dynamic thing, and it's just really well developed. I really do like the way their particular connection was developed in this season, and that they seem to have this shared outcast sort of ness to them, which I like.
I agree. I like that Will became more three-dimensional this season.
Mm-hmm.
Before he was just an abductee in the Upside Down.
He was kind of a MacGuffin?
He was the MacGuffin. Yeah. That's it.
Oh, God. Sarah's giving me a look right now.
She looked at me for help, but
That's an Alfred Hitchcock. That's
Yes.
an Alfred Hitchcock reference.
Oh, I've seen all those.
But it's also mostly applied to, like, Lucas movies. It's the thing they have
It's
to
a
go
thing that's
get.
the end, like Indiana Jones, the Ark of the Covenant.
Or the Holy Grail. Or the Temple of Doom.
I
It's
saw
a
that
trope.
one.
It's a trope
Poor
where
Sarah, you need to go to like nerd class before we do these sort of things.
Gosh, I
Because
guess I did
the rest
see.
of us are just sitting here like, yes, and she looks at me like,
I saw. You know what? I did see a lot of those Star Wars ones.
well,
She saw
okay.
Star Wars.
For your listeners
Go
that
see
may
Star
not
Wars.
know
That's
what a
interesting.
MacGuffin is,
Yeah, tell people.
Alfred Hitchcock, back in the old days,
This is
he
Michael's
once said
grandmother.
that he called
This is his nerd
the thing in the North by Northwest, the papers, or the microfilm.
yes, young kids, do you know what North by Northwest is?
I highly recommend it.
It's a
Jack
great
Stars.
film, great film, yes.
Old movies are good too.
Not a son of Kanye.
But
I think
Alfred
that's his
Hitchcock-
daughters.
Don't go, I know who that is.
Northwest. That's that Kardashian's daughter.
I think that is her name.
It is her name.
That was the joke.
Anyway, Michael, you were saying.
well,
A MacGuffin.
yeah, Alfred Hitchcock called the microfilm in that film the MacGuffin, and he used it as like a name or something. And basically, the idea is that it's a trope where the characters are going after a thing. In this North by Northwest, it's the microfilm. It's completely unimportant to anything that's going on in the movie because North by Northwest
be
is all about the
anything.
chase.
It's what they're looking for, and it doesn't really matter what it is.
So it's kind of like in Harry Potter in the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah,
Oh,
Sorcerer's
my
Stone.
God.
I did it! Exactly.
Because they never actually use the Sorcerer's
No,
Stone.
it's
They just have to make sure the
Sarah, you have
Sorcerer's Stone.
successfully nerded.
Okay.
That was beautiful.
People are like applauding, or they're like banging their head.
It's kind of everything.
Sarah was so dumb.
No.
No.
So, now that you've watched season 2, what questions do you have going forward, or what do you predict for season 3?
Well,
I mean, clearly Will still has his connections to the Upside Down.
Yeah.
I mean, we continue to watch him go through things through the season. So, I don't think that's ever going away.
Oh, no, probably not. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Why did he get kidnapped in the first place? Was it just random?
It was random.
Yeah.
'Cause
Okay,
there's
I remember it.
There's random holes opening up, like in the
Pockets.
woods.
And he just hit
And
one.
He
the
was at his
Demogorgon was
fort.
coming to kill him like Barb.
They
and
were in Castle Byers,
He escaped
okay.
into the... No, he was in the shed in his backyard.
Castle Byers.
That Fort Myers is in the woods. He was in the shed in the back of his house.
Okay.
To get away from it, he went through the
He just went
portal,
through it.
and then the portal closed behind him.
Got it. Okay. It was just random. I couldn't remember if
Yeah. No, there was no targeted person. They were just breaking through.
just bad luck.
Yeah.
But they're using him also to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
As a
those
spy.
have those connections with
But
our
is-
side.
Is there something special about Will though? Because he's survived in the Upside Down a very long time.
Yeah.
And isn't it toxic in the Upside Down where people they have to
They're
wear
there
those.
for a long time.
Yeah, and so it almost seems like he has some sort of not really an immunity, but some sort of
Connection.
somehow he was able to survive there without the
Yeah.
the
I mean,
protection.
I'm all for exploring that possibility.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can
think
see
he
that
does.
happening.
So maybe it
Well, he
wasn't really
spit up
random.
the wormy, I think it was Baby Dart that he spit out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
That's
did.
what it was.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think even if he wasn't immune, he is now because he's been possessed by things from the Upside Down. But is he special beyond that? I don't know.
Well, I guess that's my question.
Maybe it was
is
easier
I'm
for
wondering.
They could
Mind
easily
Flayer
build
to
off
open a
of
portal
that.
near him in the first season because maybe something's with him. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they're attracted to his energy.
Yeah.
Maybe his mom was also pregnant and took a drug.
Maybe his aura's upside down. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you saying Joyce might be pregnant?
No, maybe she was pregnant and took a drug.
Oh,
When she was pregnant
sixth
with Will.
Like
Yeah.
everyone else.
maybe she was an unsuccessful trial, is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
I mean, could be.
Okay.
Who knows?
That would be a
I
twist.
don't know. I'm still without
I'm still excited to see if there's more of the 11 kids come out in the woodwork.
Yeah.
I think we'll see. That's one
At
of my
least
predictions.
one.
Well,
Right.
even if it isn't more psychic kids, the writers have pretty much hinted that lab, that's just one level is the psychic tests. There could be, Stranger Things, so that's one of the reasons they went with kind of a vague title, is they could go in almost any paranormal direction they want. They could put the Mind Flayer on the back burner to the final season and go off in a whole another direction. Because that lab is pretty good. They could almost come up with anything with that being located there.
Yeah, but I hope they don't completely lose the Upside Down because that's the terrifying portion.
Uh-huh.
If
I
they
don't
went
think they
straight
will. I
to
think
the
it's
lab,
always-
it would feel very X-Files.
It's always going to be there, but the lab was there first. The only reason they connected to the Upside Down was because the lab already pretty much created 11.
Right.
And who's to say she can't open up doors to other? That's just one world. She could always open up doors to
Yeah,
other
there's lots of
worlds.
possibilities.
Oh my.
What if there's the right side up world or the side world? I don't know. That's
Or a
bad
mirror
idea.
No.
universe.
A what now?
High five.
Mirror universe.
I get that.
Mirror universe.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
Hey, you did a nerd thing.
Guys, the Trek is mine. I got that one. I got that
Hey!
Michael's got old movies. Sarah's got Star
And Star
Trek.
Trek too, actually.
You can't really,
one. I mean, I took
Probably
that from
can't pigeonhole.
Nick. Anyway, so.
Well, fair enough.
It's true.
I-
Other predictions?
Yes. So, I want to know because I think I'm right in this. I could be wrong. I feel like I read somewhere that they're jumping ahead to 1986 for season 3.
I
That
read
they're not going-
1985, and it was going to
Okay.
be right after Back to the Future came out.
Okay, then I
Yes.
guess.
Which is why I think
Well,
they're
they said
setting
the
up
seasons
Billy.
they said the seasons are going in real time.
Yeah.
So however long it's been between season 2
Okay.
and when the start of season 3, that's how long it will be in the world.
Maybe I was wrong.
They want to keep the actors aging realistic.
But I also think they're lining it up a little with Back to the Future on purpose, which is why we have Billy the way he is, because there is at least a good fraction of Biff Tannen in him. He very much reminded me of Biff at times.
So, time travel?
We're already talking about labs and mirror dimensions. Why not? Stranger.
If 11 can tear a hole in reality, why can't you tear a hole in time?
There you go.
Oh,
Space and time.
interesting, yeah.
Continuing.
Neil deGrasse Tyson says you can't.
But
Well,
that's science and this is fiction.
What is it?
Oh, I thought you were asking for an
maybe
answer.
11 got two of the
I'm
Infinity
gonna
Stones.
trust the doctor.
42 is the answer. Just saying.
She didn't know. Now I'm just waiting to see what she'll
I don't know what you're referencing, but I don't care.
That one takes a while to explain.
Just give me a movie.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
And it's a book.
Oh, Lord.
And a movie.
I tried to read that
book
book.
first.
I couldn't understand it.
Oh.
Guys, let's go back to Harry Potter. I got those.
She teaches math. English isn't her thing.
I do have to teach English.
All those poor kids.
We're doing a lot of Shakespeare, I'll tell you that. We're going to Shakespeare it up real nice. Theater, I got that.
You do.
I got that thing.
That's your nerd thing, too.
Another question I have. Something I want to see happen in the next season. Maybe not a question. I want to see the female characters intermingle more.
Yeah.
Because I read an article and I didn't really notice it when I was watching, but when I read this article I was like, oh my god, it's so true. They kept all of the female characters in the season set in more or less separate. They were Max was in the boys storyline. Joyce was in the facility storyline. 11 had her own separate storyline, and Nancy had the conspiracy and the Justice for Barb storyline. These are all different storylines that these women are really powerful and really very important to these storylines, but they were separate as surrounded by all these other men in the storyline, and it was just like, great, now let's have them have a storyline together.
It does not pass the Bechdel test.
No, it does not.
It did not.
What I think Sarah said, good, because 11 needs another woman friend or somebody earlier.
Yeah, well, we need another girl in the mix.
Yes.
There's all these cool
and
boys.
they never really interacted except
And
for
she
hating
didn't like.
each other.
Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
11 and Max need to bond, and they need to be awesome best friends.
11 was just having confusion because she thought Mike was flirting with Max, when really he was arguing with her because he didn't like her.
She didn't have any other standard to go by.
Right, very true.
She hasn't watched enough soap operas. It's fine. Maybe the TV will be plugged back in next season. Who knows?
Probably.
Any other questions or predictions about season 3?
Gosh, can Joyce find love again? Will she?
Probably with Hopper.
Yeah.
I feel like they've been moving in
In the
that
long
direction.
run, it'll be Hopper.
Yeah.
I thought they were going that way, and then Bob showed up, so...
Oh, Bob.
Poor Bob.
Hey, I'm totally
Bad.
happy you were there.
Let's all
Sean
raise a
Astin.
glass to Bob.
Well, I mean, and it's like the scene with Hopper and her talking about Bob, where he's kind of still you can tell he cares about her when he on the brain.
Yes.
Like you can tell he's undermining her relationship for himself, but he's doing it in kind of a cute, playful way.
And
Well,
she
let's
always
just be
calls him
honest.
for help.
Boys that are kind of distant, that's how they kind of tell you in a way.
Yeah.
They like you.
Yeah.
They needle you about stuff. I mean, that's how that goes. I'm not referencing Kyle. I'm saying in general.
And if Joyce and Hopper get together, then Joyce can be a mother figure to 11, and then they can have a storyline together, and
It
it
writes
works.
itself.
It does write itself.
I kind of don't want them to get together till the very end, though.
Okay, I can see
I'm
that,
pretty
actually.
sure
Yeah.
that's what they're going.
They're gonna
for.
go for that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will be like moonlighting, and then everybody will say, they brought them together too soon. Or not
Yeah.
soon enough. Whatever.
Well, we all know what happened to Moonlighting after they get together.
It is the
That was
famous
the ratings
curse.
going down.
Best theme song ever.
That theme song is amazing.
Whoa.
Al Jarreau, rest in
Right.
peace, one of the greats.
Any other questions or predictions for season 3 or hopes?
I just still really love the show. I still think even in its weakest episode, it's still stronger than many shows that are available to watch today. And I think that a lot of people, clearly people who aren't even into that genre, are watching it. So there
Are
must
you basing this on me?
Okay,
kidding.
no, I'm just saying in general, it's the truth though. I mean, probably would it have been something that you automatically wanted to watch? Probably not. But you are, and you like it. So,
I
this goes to
love
show
it.
you.
I think a lot of the recent series in the last 5 years have brought a lot of people into different genres and they're most comfortable with, and they're expanding people's TV vocabulary.
Yeah.
Like look what Game of Thrones is doing to the fantasy genre.
Oh my
True.
gosh.
Fantasy used to be the realm of nerds alone.
Well, all of this stuff. I mean, all this stuff. Like, all of it. Horror, comic book related things, all this stuff. I think all of us, I mean, when I was in school, none of my friends understood all of those interests. There were only certain people that I could talk to about it, and that was it. And now it's like, there's all these people who are getting into it, and I love it, but that's what I'm saying. It's broadening a lot of people's spectrums.
I think it helps that everything's more accessible too. I mean, because
Yeah.
it's really
sure.
easy for people to try things out, and that's nice. Like that Netflix is kind of helping with that. I feel like this is just a commercial for Netflix, but really, it is making
really
it.
should
should
up
give
happening.
a subscription.
But I mean, if this wasn't on Netflix, it wasn't easy for me to watch. I don't know that I would have watched it. Like, I'm sorry, guys. I don't watch Game of Thrones. I make jokes about it, but honestly, I don't even have cable, so I don't even know how to watch that show.
You guys should watch Game of Thrones.
Nope.
Someday I will, when it's all
Sarah's
over.
not stubborn
Okay,
like her
I was
husband.
gonna say, and are you just in the stubborn camp? Like you refuse to watch it just because everyone else is
Yeah,
watching?
I was shaking my head this entire time they were talking about Game of Thrones. My hot take is that I would hate the show, and I know it, so I'm not going to start watching it.
My thing is, I can't stand suspense, so I'll wait till it's completely over, and
So you
then
have
I'll.
to wait like 2 years.
But also,
before the final
I don't
season.
have that channel, so I have to wait until it's a platform.
Okay,
that
yours makes
you know what I'm
sense.
saying?
This does not.
But I think that this is a convenient way for people. I don't know, like it was easy to binge this, and like it was
is.
easy for people to watch it and to say, "Oh, did you see that thing on Netflix?" I feel like almost everybody has Netflix. Am I wrong?
No, it's pretty. It's
Pretty much
ubiquitous,
everyone
yeah.
has it. Okay.
Well, really, like 100 people have it, and everybody else just uses their accounts.
Don't tell them. Shh.
They know.
They know.
They know.
I have my own.
I do have my own as well.
Sure you do.
I have my own.
I would say either way, I watched the show within I watched most of it within a day and a half, both times.
Oh yeah.
I said it before. I don't typically do like a straight binge. This one, it was like, oh my god, I gotta watch the next one. And then I think I even had to leave in the middle somewhere, and I'm like, I can't wait to get home to watch the next episode of Stranger Things. So
Damn it, adulting.
I know, hashtag.
Damn it!
You're checking to see if you have any sick days left.
I know. Do I have to go to work? Actually, it came out on a
For
Friday.
this season, I did. I took I knew when it was coming out. I took
Like
the day off
literally.
of work, and
But
I
then you had to wait for me though.
yeah, it backfired in my face.
I was like, you're not watching that with me.
Because originally, I watched the entire first season by myself because
And then
I wasn't sure if she would like it. Because they originally advertised
But then I
heavily
ended
to
up-
horror fans and on horror websites.
He was like, oh, this show is amazing. So I ended up then starting it on my own when he was at work, and then I blew like right through it. The second time around, we set aside time for it.
Marriage. Love and marriage. Theme songs. If you were one of the characters in real life, who would you be? You get to pick for yourself right now.
Dustin.
Well, I'd want to be
Well, are you
Hopper.
laughing because you're telling the truth or not?
No, I would definitely be Dustin.
You're
I
not
would be the
saying
one
you
who would
wanna
have
be
the
Steve?
pet Demogorgon and want to figure out about the Upside Down.
Well, I said I'd want to be Hopper, but in real life, I'd probably be more like the weird conspiracy guy.
Bombing. Fair enough.
I don't really know who I'd want to be.
I'm pretty sure I'd be Mike.
I was gonna say, I think I'd
Uh-huh.
probably relate the most to Mike. I can't think of anybody. Can you think of anybody that I really want to?
Max.
Yeah, I could see
Fine.
being that.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I pretty much am Mike. I mean, it's not just my first name in real life. But
It's a way of life.
Does anybody call you Mike?
Yeah, some people
yes,
do.
yes.
Really? Okay,
Uh-huh, yeah.
I could never do that.
I wouldn't. I met him as Michael. He's Michael.
Yeah, Michael. I don't know. I can't think of who I would be. I
I
know.
feel like you might be Joyce.
I was gonna
No,
say Joyce. I
what?
was gonna say.
No,
No?
nope. I make better life choices.
Well, we get to pick for each other.
Actually, she
Yeah, that's
could
true.
be Barb because she's like literally because you're kind of protective of your friends,
And you do
And
just
you-
say things.
and you can be a little bit like, okay, friend, this is what you're doing.
Just saying things.
Yes.
I feel like you would be
And-
the Joyce as a mother, though.
No, I know where my kids are, and they are not under a tree somewhere.
Good
They're
point.
legit at home with their dad.
Yes.
They better be. No,
And
yeah.
Joyce is always like super intense. I don't see you.
And she
ever
makes
being
bad
intense.
life choices. Although I think she,
All right,
whatever.
that's a good point.
I think that you guys don't like Nancy, but here's why I'm going to say Nancy
That's
is that
fine.
I think that she has a streak of loyalty. I could see me being like, we need to figure out how to put this out there.
This is us picking for ourselves.
Oh wait, no, that's perfect. I agree with that.
No, I was
totally
gonna say
agree
like
with that.
I was
Also,
kinda,
I'm a slut. Just kidding.
I was like you just said you were
I'm
afraid to
totally
kiss a
not.
boy.
Not in high school. In middle school, I totally was. Not now, clearly. Hello.
I mean, I was kind of picking on Nancy in the beginning, but I actually don't mind her at all. I don't.
I just miss badass Nancy. I want her to come back.
I'm kind of a badass. I'm gonna go with Nancy. I think I'm kind of a
I
badass, but I also think that like if one of my friends died, I would want to like get the truth out there and be like on a quest with a hot boy.
No, it's funny you say that, and it's like, oh yeah, that's totally true. I rescind the fact that I said you were Joyce because that's entirely wrong.
Thank you.
You totally are Nancy.
Thank you. I'm Nancy.
Yeah.
So now, that's brilliant segue. Pick for each other.
You already picked for me.
That's true.
What did we agree on?
Max.
I mean, they did, but they
That's
know
the
me
thing, yeah,
better,
she's-
so.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be hard for me because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember Max that well, but I'll go with it. Are you good at video games and skateboards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she can also be girly too, but she's also tomboyish. So
I'm
like,
good
it's
at.
like
Okay,
perfect.
I'll do
And
it.
honestly, a lot of my friends tend to be like guy friends, so.
And she's sassy.
That's just like, hereditary there, so. Yeah. That's
It
in
might
the
be
genes.
hereditary for Max, too. we didn't get much out of her mom. I'm looking at you.
None of my brothers are like Billy.
Thank goodness.
I think if we would have told Michael he's Billy, he would have left the room.
No, I would have stayed here and just been like laughing hysterically.
I get all the kids confused. I get their names confused.
Lucas is the one who didn't want to be Winston.
Yeah, okay.
Dustin is Pearl's.
The
Wow.
first person.
Yeah.
Okay, teeth.
Mike is the one who likes 11.
And then Will is the.
Is the one who keeps getting kidnapped and possessed.
I do think that Kyle might be the conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
A little bit.
He's like, of course you guys like each other, and I'm smarter than everybody else.
I would have thought he would have been Dr. Owens.
Who's
You
that?
kind of remind me a little
Hellraiser.
bit of Jonathan, I think.
Yeah.
I would have given you some Jonathan.
Yeah.
But you have more of a spine about you.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
He's
kind of a weird-
positive
you know what's
aspects of
funny?
Jonathan,
You
yeah.
kind of are a weird hybrid of Steve and Jonathan, I think.
I'd give you that.
You're a weird hybrid. You are.
Stay away from Nancy.
I'm not doing it with you.
Thank God, that would be weird.
No, I said I'm not. That's why it's not awkward.
Clear off this table for him.
We have these kinds of. We always end up in these weird conversations anyway.
Well, I prompted this one. Jeremy, let's see. You want to be Dustin, but I don't see you as a Dustin.
I don't see you as a
I kind of see you a little bit
You're
as
too
11.
cool.
Oh, I'll take 11.
Yeah. The impression you're giving off to me is 11.
You're a little mysterious.
Yeah.
I don't say much, but when I do, it's profound.
Yeah.
There you go.
You like junk food? You brought us
I
snacks.
Love
You
Chuck.
forgot
You didn't
the
bring any
waffles.
Eggos.
My kids eat
What's
every
wrong with
morning,
you?
you guys. Maybe they're 11.
So,
This is
What did we
hard.
land on? Oh, we didn't land on anything.
For Jeremy?
Jeremy?
He's 11.
I like 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I think you're more 11 than Dustin. While I do see you as
Dustin's
bringing in the
really-
homeless creature, he also makes really dumb choices, generally speaking.
You would never let him eat your cat either.
No, none of my 4 cats.
Yeah. So
There you go.
Poor me.
So you're Dustin's mom.
Oh.
oh, Michael, do you feel like that you're a little bit like Bob?
I was going to
Probably,
say
yeah.
that.
I was going to give you Bob.
I know.
But you're the
I
superhero.
see that.
You're a little-
I see that.
But you live, man.
I'll do the hand
Bender?
fist, the bender hand
Yeah.
fist. Yeah.
Don't you forget about me.
No, it's okay. I will take the Bob. I
I
will
was-
take Bob. It's a good character, and I liked his character, and it is very appropriate for. Yes, I agree. I'll go with it.
Bob, the superhero.
So who's Kylie?
Yeah. Because I think we're sticking with Nancy for Sarah, right? We kind of had
If
to
only
help
I was 16.
Oh.
Looked like that for jeans.
Going
again.
on 17.
Okay. Yeah.
He might be Lucas.
Really?
Which
Yeah, like the voice
Voice
of
of
reason.
Reason?
Yeah.
I can get
The
that.
voice.
Because
of
I was
reason.
gonna say Barb from season 1 because
I was
she's the
gonna
voice
say
of reason,
so
but that's the
nice.
same reason. No, not because of that, but because of the voice of reason. When
Yeah.
Nancy's making these
Well,
stupid decisions, and
You're
Barb's
a hybrid. I think you're a hybrid.
I can definitely see you saying something. I think because Lucas said one of them. You guys have seen this movie. You know how this happens.
Well, he also says something to... I would totally get into Dustin's face about lying about having that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Darn.
you totally
That was
got it.
pretty bogus
Uh-huh.
of him. Though.
Yeah, that was awful, and I would say something. I usually say
And like,
something
really,
when
where
things
did
are
he
awful.
think was gonna come? Like the whole time, I know he's just like a teenage boy, but I'm like, what did you think's gonna come from that?
Yeah, I
like,
know.
why?
Right.
Like honestly, and why did you think it was charming?
He didn't know it was going to grow up into a baby
But
Demogorgon.
but Mogwais are cute.
I have one. A stuffed one that dances.
I
I
have
want-
Stripe right there on my bookshelf.
Oh,
I
yes.
want the one that dances and talks
I like the evil
and
Mogwais.
sings.
The cats don't like it.
No.
Fun fact, I had nightmares about gremlins when I was a kid because of the midnight
Okay,
gremlins.
so first off,
Eating
Kylie
after
has an
midnight.
overactive imagination.
It makes sense.
Yes,
I mean,
it's a
there are
reference.
Gremlins references in Stranger Things. I mean,
I know.
Kylie has nightmares, Evie. And she
Not
also
now, but I did when I was a kid.
She also
Although I
gets
did have a
grossed out
dream
easy.
about the Mind Flayer. It wasn't a nightmare. It was more of a now memory.
It wasn't a nightmare, so you liked the Mind Flayer?
I don't know that
What
I
were you
had
doing
a
with the
feeling.
Mind Flayer that wasn't horrific?
I can't remember the dream. I just remember it was in it. I was like, oh, I watched too much Stranger Things when I woke up.
the last thing you watched before you went to bed?
Probably, yeah. Are you gonna keep watching?
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I will.
Heck yeah.
Definitely.
One of my favorite shows.
At the end of season 2, would you recommend this show to others? Why or why not?
I mean, I feel like a lot of people have already jumped on board, but absolutely.
Yeah.
I recommend it all the time.
It is a really good story. 80s references, nostalgia aside, it really is a
You
good...
could still watch it
Yeah.
without that if
Yeah.
you weren't sure.
Even if
about
you don't
any
understand
of that
any of
stuff.
the references, it works just on its own
I mean,
merits.
look at Sarah.
Well, I liked the 80s. I lived through them.
She was alive.
I was. I think
She just
it's.
had blindfolded earphones on the whole time.
No, I was doing musicals.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I
She
think
was
most
theater
of us
camping.
were born in the 80s, but like, again, you guys
Not
were.
me.
I said most of us in the room, semantics, were born in the 80s. I'm just saying. And so that's what I was exposed to. I mean, if anything, that's what I'm saying. I mean, of course, I was probably more of a 90s kid, which I still grew up on all that too. But because you were older, I was heavily exposed to all of that stuff. And obviously,
That's true.
our parents were still younger too, so they were still watching a lot of these things.
And the 80s was a golden age for movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So-
spilled over into the 90s a lot.
And that happens from decade to decade. Like, some of it always ends up... So, yeah, I feel like if you're at least, born at least 1980... I mean, before probably 1986 or 87, that you probably were exposed heavily to a lot of it.
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad you didn't say before such and such president.
No, I would not.
Before or during the Reagan era.
Yes. Fair.
I like this show because I think it's like eerie, but it doesn't scare me so badly that I like.
Well, they do such a good job balancing the tones that it works. Like it peaks on its horror and it automatically goes to like a fun side story to relieve the tension.
Or the sort of rom-com-y stuff. That
So I would recommend it because I don't think it's like too scary. That like I would, how like you recommend something but you're nervous. Like I don't want it to be too scary, but I don't think this is too scary.
It's like, go see Insidious, but don't take your kids.
But don't, yeah.
I actually think the first season was slightly more intense than this season just because they did more balancing in this
I could see
season.
that.
I think, but you also probably expected it a lot more in season
That's
2.
true.
In season 1, you didn't know what you were getting into, and then you
Heck
started
no.
seeing things. But you already knew what you were getting into. We saw the things in the trailer, so you kind of already knew.
Well, I didn't watch the trailer, but I at least had the experience
saw
of
the
season
promos.
1. And I knew that season 1 was going to be probably similar to it, so. Anything else you want to say about season 2 of Stranger Things or what you'd like to see in season 3?
I think the best is just going to be the fish out of water of 11 in middle school with them.
Yeah, that'll be really good.
I mean, you
Potential
can,
storylines. Yes.
and yeah, you have to have all the in-school experiences too, because that's also a big part of 80s movies.
True. You can start folding in Breakfast Club now.
Yes.
They're almost in high school.
I literally have no idea where the show is going, and that's a good thing. So I'm looking
You don't
forward
want
to
it
that.
to be predictable.
That's true. It's not entirely predictable. At this time, I'd like to thank Hilary, Kyle, and Michael for joining us once again, and Sarah and Jeremy for joining us a first time to talk about the second season of Stranger Things. And because I've thanked them, I now have to thank you by giving you the following sponsored message. CPU was produced by Backpacker Productions, run by yours truly, the Cheap Couch Potato, and hails from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, take the time to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play. That means give us stars, comments, reviews, let us know how we're doing, what you like, what you don't, what we should keep, what we shouldn't keep, what we should scare you with next time in our Stranger Things Season 3 episode, because that's coming. If you have suggestions on shows we might consider, contact us at our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, via email at couchpotatoesunitepodcast@gmail.com, or via Facebook and Twitter, though of course we add new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time. We have several more new episodes coming down the pike, as always, and if you miss old episodes or want to know in general what we cover, we're everywhere. Find us, search for us. Go to Google, type in our name. We tap it. We're awesome. You can subscribe at our website, our channels, our social media accounts to stay up on new events and episodes. Until the next time, all available seasons of Stranger Things are available to stream at, you guessed it, Netflix, who still has not given us our free subscriptions, and we think we should start a petition drive. In the meantime, our Stranger Things panel, as I said, will next reconvene following the release of the 3rd season, the date of which has not yet been announced, but is expected to drop in 2019. As always, keep a weathered eye to CPU for all the deets. In the meantime, and until next time, until next episode, new episodes are published every Wednesday. Keep listening, keep watching, stay tuned. Bye-bye.